1917, yeah.
Okay, Joyce.
Okay.
Just ask him to tell us about
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, tell us about the strike.
Well, all we did was they get
Sorry,
people.
ask him what he did in the mill.
Okay. What was your job in the mill?
Well, in 19 and during the strike, I worked in the spinning room then for Marvin Sargent, and I went from the spinning room to the spooler room, and learned to fix in there. And when we put the new machinery in, well, I helped the men put the new spoolers. Back in the time when we had the old spoolers, we had about 36 women on a ship, and they used hand knotters. And we put the automatic Barbara Coleman spoolers in there, and there wasn't but about 9 women working on each shift. And it cut down on lots of help, but I think most of the help was distributed through the mill and didn't get paid up or anything, but we've had a better production, much better production after we put in the automatic spoolers.
I know my mother worked in the spooler.
I know she worked for me for years.
She thought the world of you. I remember.
And I did her too. She was a good woman.
Well, what happened? The strike. Tell us about the strike.
Well, all we did was just shut down and stayed shut down until the strike got over with and everybody went back to work.
What was it like?
Well, it was just people hanging around the gates and other companies like Exposition, William Mill, and all that bunch of people came over and helped the people that was out there. But some of them acted so dirty that when the strike was over, why, they didn't come back to work.
Well, I heard that somebody got killed, a watchman.
Not that I know of.
Really?
No. There wasn't nobody got killed at pulling bag.
Miss Barbara was telling us about a Jenny Simpkins
Simpkins.
that got pulled. She was trying to go in the mill, and the guards were trying to pull her in, and the strikers were trying to pull her out, and she.
Well, a lot of that was going on.
Was it?
That's some of them that worked in the bag mill, mostly the ones that stayed working. But as far as the cotton mill, we shut the cotton mill down.
So you just shut it down completely? And was
Just
away
shut it
from
down completely and told the people that we'd let them know whenever to come back to work. And quick as all that crowd from these other mills went away, well, we went back to work. And didn't have no trouble with our help at all. And nobody wanted to strike because I don't know how they found out or what, when it was going to be something like a raise. We always give the raise 2 or 3 weeks ahead of the union hollering. Nobody just never would vote in a union up there. In other words, you didn't have to pay union dues and you was getting as much money as they asked for.
So every time the union would say y'all need a raise, you'd get a raise.
We'd get a raise.
Whoa. That was one way to keep
And
it.
we never had a union up there, except I think some of the people in the bag mill, a few of them joined the union, but we just never did have no real union. And those people that joined it, we didn't fire them. That was their business.
So how long was the mill closed down?
I think it's about 3 or 4 weeks, at the best of my knowledge. Remember back that far. You know, I'm be 79 years old next month, and I don't remember everything.
I'm 49, and I bet you remember more than I do.
Well, one thing I'm sure you remember, I want you to tell us how much you got, the workers got paid when you first started working, and then what happened when the NRA came in.
Oh, when they come to 8 hours a day? Well, I tell you, when I first went to work up there, I was working 11 hours a day and made $11.20 a week, 55 hours. But after that, Well, I was making $18 and a half for 8 hours a day. And they sent me to school, to Georgia Tech. I went out there and got my textile engineering course, and they gave me a supervisor's job. And I stayed supervisor from 1940 till 1974.
So you were still working there when they closed down?
I was working there the last day they closed down the cotton mill. And I get a pension now.
Do you?
I still get my pension. I know there was 4 of us that got a pension that's still getting it. Carl Kimball got it. And there's 2 more fellows. Mr. Head got one. You know, he stayed there. I think Mr. Head was there about 50 years. And all total, in 1932, well, I was gone about 2 months, and I came back and I stayed there from November the 9th, 1932, and I was there November the 9th, 1974 when it shut out.
Do you mind telling how much your pension is?
Yes, I do mind.
Okay. Well, I know that when Mama retired, she got $29 a
Well,
month.
that was day help.
Yeah, $1 for every year she'd been there.
Yeah.
She
My
dropped
daddy-
it 3 months and they cut it out completely.
Well, my daddy got it for years.
Didn't he? Mama did.
He got it from, let's see, he got it through 1976. That's how long, he got it 2 years, I know.
Yeah.
But like I say, I was in supervision and been there 42 years, and they give me my choice of taking a lump sum or taking a pension, and I got smart and took the pension, and I'm still getting it.
Smart. Yeah.
Travelers Insurance Company sends me my pension every month, puts it in my bank.
Well, what about your bosses?
My bosses, Mr. Duckett was a superintendent at the end of it. Mr. George Watson was general manager and vice president of it. And Mr. Hankins was the president of it.
What did you think of the Elses? Did you?
The what?
The Elses family. Did you?
The Elses was the greatest, I'll have to tell you that, when they had it. They were good people to work for. They treated people like they ought to be treated. And it sold either 2 or 3 times from one person to another. And Allied Product owned it the last time through Fabric America.
You seem to be healthy,
I am healthy.
but
Nothing
there's
wrong
always
with
been
me.
talk about, it was such an unhealthy place to work, all the lint and the
Well,
the heat.
when I had the twine room, it was a heap of whole lots of lint in there, but it ain't never hurt me.
But they finally put in machines or something in there, or I guess they put in the air conditioning.
With no air conditioning except in the spinning room.
Yeah.
The weave room has to have hot weather to keep the threads, keep the size in it. Moisture of 7.5%. And they didn't have no air conditioning there. But now the spinning room had a water washed air condition. They had to have it up there, and sometimes that thing would go out and it'd get awful hot, and they'd just have to stop off the spinning room for a while till they got that going back, got the air conditioning going back, because it'd get 95 to 100 degree in there sometime. And the weave room stayed about 91, 92 degree all the time.
How was it in spool room? That's where my mama worked.
Spooler room was nice.
Was it?
We had this suction that instead of all the lint flying everywhere, it sucked it back through those suction tubes into a bag, and that was emptied every day. All that dust that flies through the air, it didn't fly through in the spooler room. It was in pretty good shape. for years. I ran the two spooler rooms, and we cut it down to one, and put in a longer spooler, and we kept that temperature in there about, I reckon, around 75 to 80, 82 degrees, and it was a pleasant place to work.
How did y'all feel about people calling lint heads?
I reckon that's what they thought they were. Some of them said it's an honest place to make a living. Mm-hmm. And they made pretty good money. I had ladies in there back in the 60s and the early 70s that made $80 and $90 a week, 40 hours.
I think
And
Mama
we paid time and half time for all over 40 hours.
I think Mama made $18 when she first went to work up there, and I think she made about 60 when she.
Well, like I say, I worked 55 hours for $11.20 when I went to work up there at 27, and well, I drew a salary whenever was 34 years of it.
You know, it's always so hard to, you know, my mother would not say anything bad about that mill.
Well, like I say, I won't either, because it made a living for me, and I put 6 children through high school and 2 of them through college. I got one now making $60,000 a year.
That's great.
And in 3 years she'll be making $76,000, so I reckon I give her a good education.
That's not Patricia, is it?
And folding bag, no, that's Judy, my youngest one.
Oh.
She's in Chicago. She's head of Motorola up there.
Well, that's
She
cool.
wants me to move up there, but
Where's she live?
Chicago.
Is she?
Up at, well, it's one of the outskirts. Buffalo Grove is where she actually lives.
So what about your education? Did you get much?
I went to college out at Georgia Tech and got textile engineering course.
That's great.
Didn't cost me a dime. Folding bag paid for it. They even take me out there and brought me back home every night. I went at night and worked in daytime. I went to school 4 nights a week, 3 years.
Were there anybody else around here that they did that for? Or did...
Tony Hyder, he was in supervision. And I think Raymond New was in it. But I went out there with the idea that they told me when I got through with it, well, they'd give me a supervisor job, and they kept their word. They gave me a supervisor job when I got through.
So you were there 55 years, you said?
No, I was there 47 total, 42 straight years. I worked 5 years and went away 2 months, come back and stayed 42 years to the day. Come back to work November the 9th, 1932, and stayed there till November the 9th, 1974. 42 years exactly.
Did you grow up here in the neighborhood or in Cabbage Town, or?
Would I?
Did you?
Oh, yeah.
So you.
You asked me, would I go, or did I?
Did you grow up here in Cabbage Town?
I came back from Tennessee in 1926.
And you lived
We
here
used to
from-
live here before then. My father worked up there a while, and we went to Copper Hill, Tennessee. Well, that's where he went back. That's where I was born. And I stayed there. When we went back, I stayed there till I was 15. I think we went back to Tennessee in 1918. And we come back in 1926, and I've been here ever since.
It's a long time.
Yep. Well, I enjoyed every day I worked at Pullman Bag myself, because I got along with everybody.
I just wonder what made that so different, because everybody I talk to says that I loved the meal, I loved, it was fun.
We treated people like they're supposed to be treated, like they wanted to be treated.
But now people look at the mill and they think that y'all were just, you know, treated badly, that you were
Well, that's
used and paid next to nothing.
that's this younger generation. It's not old people that used to work there. I'm 70. I'll be 79 in August, on August the 3rd. And if the mill had still been running, I'd have still been working. Because I had a department that I went off and bought, put in, and nobody knew too much about it. Electricians come out there to see something about some of my spoolers or winders or something. They'd come and ask me what was wrong. They wouldn't hunt it up.
Well, what about, I guess you've seen all the changes that have gone around in the neighborhood, going on.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think about that?
Well, I think it was great. I wish it would have done that long years ago. It's good for people here, around here now.
Yeah, we're getting it back to looking good like it used
That's
to.
right. They're looking much better around here.
Well, during the Depression, Horace Carson used to talk about bootlegging to feed his family. Do you remember any of that stuff that was going on?
Well, I know he was bootlegging. There was a lot of bootleggers around here.
And did the mill try to curb it or do anything about it?
Well, it wasn't none of their business.
So they stayed out of it?
Stayed out of it. It's my opinion of it.
I know.
I know I wouldn't allow nobody to come in on my job drinking because I was afraid that they would get hurt. I never really fired but 2 people. In other words, I didn't fire them, they fired themselves. Laying out 3 successive times without even calling in or anything, or one come in drunk on the job the second time and sent him home the first time, told him to come back when he got sober. And the next time he come in there drunk, why, I told him that was all of it. I didn't need him no more. Because I didn't want him to get his hand cut off or something, kind of like the guy out at Exposition. He opened up an end of a frame one time and was cleaning and oiling it, and he got his hand caught in there and cut off some of his fingers. The safety committee come around and he took him to show him what was done, cut off some fingers on the other hand.
Oh my goodness. That's amazing. So do you know, did anybody ever really get hurt?
Well, I had 2,700 days in my department without an accident.
Did y'all give bonuses and things for people, you know, for safety?
Well,
It seems like I remember.
we
you
had a
mentioning
good
it.
housekeeping bunch, and we always give a big supper or something like that to the good apartments on their safety. We had housekeeping every month. All the supervisors and superintendents all would get together, and we'd go around the whole mill. And if we saw anything that looked like an accident or anything like that could happen, well, we corrected it. We put in a shot for the order to them to get up there and correct whatever caused trouble.
Yeah, maybe you can straighten something out for me, because the company store, was there a regular company store?
There used to be a Rogers store right out there,
Okay.
and we issued little books, like $5, $2, $5, and $10 coupon books that they could go out there at the office anytime and get it if they worked there, and they take it out on their paycheck at the end of the
Okay, but so Fulton Bay just had an agreement with Rogers to
That's
do that.
right.
There was never a regular.
Never was a real store
'Cause I had heard
that belonged to
that there
Fulton
was.
Bag. It was Rogers, and it was on that corner where the Cabbage Patch is right now.
Yeah, I used to sell Girl Scout cookies there.
Yep. I've give you lots of bananas and things. You remember that up there?
At the gate.
I'd be buying off of the peddlers.
I do
You
remember
kids would be around. I bought a many a thing and handed to you kids.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, I had 6 children here. I lived on Fulton Terrace and Memorial Drive down at the Ball Diamond during that time. My oldest son is 52 years old, and my youngest son is 39. I had 3 boys and 3 girls.
You played on the baseball team for the mill.
No, I was the official scorer and went everywhere they went. And we had a good ball club in 1939. We went to Washington, D.C. and stayed in a tournament, national tournament, till the last game. Umpires took it away from us.
Oh, no.
And in 1941, we won the state championship again and went to Youngstown, Ohio, and we stayed 5 days up there.
Mm-hmm. Well, my uncle was a pitcher. Do you remember him, Lefty?
Oh, I certainly do. Ruined his arm out here at Federal Prison one cold day. It was snowing.
Because I know people used to tell me that he could have been in the
He could have been in the major league.
but he threw his arm away. You lived on Fulton Terrace. Was that part of the mill on that too?
Yeah.
Well, do you remember? Was it Lonnie that used to clean up?
The
around?
colored man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Davis was our plumber that went around and cleaned up and got all the plumbing done in the houses. I forget now who the carpenter was.
But they kept it up, didn't they?
Well, it kept up everything. It didn't cost the people a thing. All they had to do was go out there and report it to the office. If anything got wrong with the plumbing or anything got wrong with the woodwork or anything, they had men that they had hired to do all that work.
I remember in the wintertime they used to, if it was going to freeze that night, they'd blow the whistle 10 minutes before they were going to cut the water off. Everybody,
That's right.
draw water, and then they'd cut
That's
the
right.
water off till the next morning. What about the black people in the mill?
We hired black people. I had a lot of them hired, but in the spool room, I was running the spool room, and the only trouble I ever had with them was one Saturday afternoon, I was behind the spinning room, and I asked the whole second shift to come in at 3. We run the first shift all day, and the second shift came in, and I was going to work them all day till 11 o'clock that night. They're 8 hours. And I had taught a black person to be my fixer and my supervisor on the second shift. And he had a whole second shift of black, but 2 people. I had 2 white ladies there. And I was at home it was at 7 o'clock at night. The guards called me and says, "Mr. McCoy, my understanding was that you was going to run your second shift till 11 o'clock. I said, "That's right." He says, "Well, they've all walked out except the 2 white ladies, and they're standing here wanting to know what you've got to say about it." I said, "You tell them to go home, and I'll talk to them Monday." So when I came in Monday, well, I was still a little bit behind there, and I called my boss, Mr. Duckett and Mr. Watson, and told them what happened. Mr. Watson said, "Well, what are you going to do?" I said, "Well, I tell you, I haven't got nothing else for those people to do except the 2 white ladies, and I'm bringing them on in the first shift." He says, "Why?" I said, "Well, they didn't want to go out." And I said, all of the black closed my job down at 7 o'clock. I'm shutting the second shift down until tomorrow. I'm going to bring the third shift up on it, and by the weekend I'll have enough people hired to run the third shift again. So when the second shift came in, I told the first shift to shut down all the machinery at 3 o'clock. They want to know why I shut it down. I said, "Well, y'all shut it down Saturday night at 7 when you're supposed to work till 11, and I don't need none of you no more." So they said, "We'll go to the labor board." I said, "Good, that's the thing to do." So I went ahead and reported it to the labor board what had happened. And when they went to the labor board, I never did have to go because they said that the people run themselves off. I didn't run them off.
That was much later, wasn't it? What was the date of that?
Well, really, I don't don't quite remember, but it was several years before the mill shut down. That's all I can tell you, because I don't remember the exact date. But the labor board wouldn't recognize them at all, because our personnel director went up there and reported all of it, what they had done, and we had the proof, because all of them had passes to go out at 7 o'clock that this here black supervisor had gave them, and he went out too. And my understanding that from about 4 o'clock, after I left there at 3, after about 4 o'clock, some of them got to drinking, and that caused it all. So really and truly, I didn't need them people anymore.
But you talk about blacks in the mills in the early 30s.
Oh, good people. I just as soon had some of the black as some of the white in there, because they worked, and I didn't have no trouble getting my job run by some of them.
What did they do in the mill in the 30s?
Well, we taught them to run machinery, just like the other people, and some of them run day jobs, and like I said, and some of them were piece workers, just like everybody else. We didn't show no partiality between the black and the white. And you take all the shop people, all the black out there were just crazy about some of us supervisors. Because we treated them, when they come in our department to do something, we treated them just like it was a white man coming in there to do it.
That seemed to be very unusual, because most of the time we hear that there are no blacks in the union no blacks in the mill until the 60s. You're saying that even when you were in the early 30s there were blacks.
Well, I had one woman working for me in the spooler room and in the twine room. That lady worked for me darn near as long as I worked up there. Mattie Bell was her name, and she was just as good a worker as I ever had.
Were there any objections from the white people?
No, they got along with the white people. There was nothing wrong with the way we treated the black people up there. They made as much money as anybody else did up there.
Where did they live?
Huh?
Where did they live?
Well, most of them lived across the railroad up there, back in Blacktown. Everybody knows they used to, that until the 60s, they didn't hang around here at night. Everybody knows that. They stayed on the other side of the railroad.
Cabbagetown had quite a reputation.
That was their own prerogative to stay over there. We didn't tell them to stay over there. They just know not to come down here and mess with people.
Cabbagetown had a...
Y'all want to know where Cabbagetown got that name?
Yeah, tell us.
All right. There was a truckload of cabbage coming down through here, and it turned over right there. And that night, you couldn't smell nothing but cabbage in this town, because everybody cooked cabbage that afternoon.
But did the man give it to us, or did we steal it?
It told him just go out there and pick it up. He says, I ain't going to haul it all. Says, y'all, it's good cabbage, go get it. And everybody went and got it.
Okay, now, we long stopped, and I'm going to ask him to repeat that story about the cabbage outside, where he can show where it happened. It's okay, all right for you, James?
Yeah, just give me a second to get ready to go out there.
Okay, so we'll go outside and undo